r/entitled parents. M bullies her kid's way onto a field trip he has no business on. He acts like a maniac and is subsequently banned. M cannot understand why he's being excluded. Posted by u/hufflepufftato. This happened a few summers ago when I was working as a staff member at a youth program. I no longer work there, and stuff like this is part of the reason why. I have changed a couple of details to make it less likely that I'm identifiable if this story gets stolen and posted somewhere else. Quick background note: everyone was technically required to undergo a short orientation before they were allowed to start their kids in the program, but we were badly understaffed and it was hard to keep track. As a result, a lot of parents didn't complete it, either out of honest ignorance, or by just lying because they couldn't be bothered and didn't think they should have to. The latter were also usually the parents of the most out-of-control kids. One kid in particular was a chronic problem from his first day. I never saw him moving at less than a dead sprint. He'd arrive in the morning with a party-size bag of Takis and a 64 ounces cup of bright blue soda from 7-Eleven, and then leave a trail of red dust, crumbs, crushed chips, and sticky residue on every surface in the building. If another kid looked at him wrong or walked too close to him, he got physical without one instant's thought or hesitation. Imagine if you shaved the Tasmanian devil, pumped him full of sugar and junk food, and then set him loose. Just a 4-foot-tall blur of unbridled rage that eats and fights and spins in circles until it drops. For the purposes of this story, I'll call him Taz. Taz's mother, N, naturally, did not complete the orientation, and also did not read any of the materials she was given with her application packet, including the parent handbook which explained the rules, levels of consequence for unacceptable behaviors, etc. Within a month, Taz got himself banned from many of the activity rooms in the building, booted from the junior T-ball team, ousted from the social room during movie time, and eventually barred from all field trips. M was constantly making a fuss at pickup time, demanding to know why her son was being sent home with 6 different write-ups and was being excluded from activities. But before he was unilaterally banned from getting on our bus and leaving the building, I had the bad fortune of taking Taz on a field trip because his M threw a fit. So that's the main story I'm telling here. 8:30 a.m., I was loading the bus to take a small group of kids rock climbing. It's important to note that this field trip was restricted. Anyone who wanted to participate had been required to attend a 1-hour safety briefing and instructional session to prove they could listen and be trusted not to damage our gear or hurt anyone. We had only distributed about 10 to 12 permission slips, and only to kids I had personally approved. Anyway, I got the kids into their seats and was putting the gear in through the rear door when a car rushed into the parking lot and stopped right next to the bus. M hopped out, grabbed up Taz from the front passenger seat, where he was way too little to be riding, and marched him right up and tried to put him on the bus. Luckily, the folding doors were already closed, so she had to come around the back and talk to me first. It went something like this. M, you're going on a field trip. Taz wants to go. Me, I'm sorry, but Taz isn't approved to go on this trip. M, just put him on the bus and I'll sign the permission slip later. Me, I am absolutely not allowed to do that for any field trip, but this one in particular had a requirement of. M, fine, I'll go inside and sign it now. Just put him on the bus. Me, again, I'm sorry, but he didn't complete the required training to come on this trip. The only kids on the bus are the ones who have demonstrated. M, are you saying my son's not good enough to come on this trip? I paid in advance for 3 field trips and he has a right to get on this bus. Now open the door before I go get Mr. Bossman. Me, if you feel like you need to talk to Mr. Bossman about this, he's right inside, but I cannot put Taz on the bus and we need to be going. M, don't you move. You wait right there while I go talk to Bossman about this. At this point, I have the bus fully loaded and the doors shut. I cannot leave the kids on the bus to go inside and deal with this. I don't want to get everybody off the bus so we can all go inside. I decide to wait a minute, on the off chance I'm called in to defend myself. I could see M through the front window, yelling and gesticulating at the front desk staffer and then at Bossman. Finally, Bossman walks out with Taz and M looking very smug. Bossman, hufflepufftato, I'm giving Taz permission to board the bus, okay? Me, Mr. Bossman, Taz has not taken the training for rock climbing and he's a couple of years younger than the next youngest person who did complete the training. I just don't think this is the right field trip for him. Bossman, your objection is noted, but I'm approving it under my authority as director. If he doesn't follow the rules and listen to you, he won't be allowed to go again. Please find him a seat. Taz leaps up the stairs, flashes me a shit-eating grin, and throws himself into a seat. Em gives me a grin to match, gets in her car, and takes off again. Literally the second we parked at our destination and I opened the bus doors, Taz flew out and took off. For the entire duration of the trip, he broke every single rule. He ran far ahead of the group and ignored me when I called him back. He took off his shirt and jumped in a pond. He wouldn't wait while I tried to give him some basic instructions, and started slinging around a rope with a carabiner on one end and nailed another kid in the face, then laughed as they cried. He started wrestling with another kid in full kit and got all of their gear and ropes tangled together. As I was trying to untangle the mess, he lost patience and pulled so hard that he broke a plastic fastener and rendered his gear unusable. Then he cried and sulked because he no longer had gear to use, and demanded that we end the trip and go back to the program center because he was bored and it wasn't fair for him to have to sit and watch everybody else have fun. I parked him at a picnic table and told him to sit there and not get up again until it was time to leave. Of course, the second I turned my back, he was up running around and harassing other people, trying to take their gear. We eventually did cut the trip short and leave early just because I couldn't keep him in check and it wasn't fair to the other kids that I didn't have attention to spare with helping them. I explained all of this to Bossman back at the center, and he assured me that I would not have to take Taz anywhere again. Literally as we were having this discussion, I had to pause to get between Taz and a kid he was trying to goad into fighting him. When Em came back to pick him up and was informed of his behavior and told that he wouldn't be allowed on any more field trips due to his lack of self-control, she threw a shit fit and said, "We were unprofessional and should be better equipped to handle kids acting like kids." He was always just getting in trouble at our facility and never had anything positive to say about his experiences there at the end of the day. We never had anything good to say about him and clearly just didn't like him. And consequently, she would not be bringing him to our program anymore. We all breathed a sigh of relief. Guess who pulled back up at 8 AM the next day, let him out of the car, and took off without even coming inside. Edit: I wasn't intentionally setting up for a part 2, I was mostly just pointing out that Em was bullshitting about pulling him from the program. She continued to bring him to us for the duration of the summer. Thank you for listening, my children. Please leave a like and subscribe and ring my bell sack to stay updated with my videos as they come out. Love you, bye.